Five Nights at Freddy's, or as I like to call it, Freddy Five Night. Keep in mind, I'm recording this while I'm still sick, so if my voice sounds like shit, I'm not. My mic is not broken again. I promise you. Just Five Nights at Freddy's has always been a 50-50 game for me. You know, on one hand, it's like, ooh, cool, you know, scary, animatronic. It go, you know, I jump scares. It's scary, and then on one hand, it's like, man, I really just do not care. I think that the Chuck E. Cheese moving animatronics, sentient robots stuff is like the perfect formula for a horror game. I really love the concept of it, and I think that Five Nights at Freddy's is fun, even though it is, all things considered, just a flash game with jump scares. I like the idea of it, you know, it's Walton Files kind of shit that I like. But I've always, compared to the Walton Files at least, vehemently hated the way FNAF portrays its story, because it's a horror game, and almost up until, I don't fucking know, the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza thing, which, honestly, I almost titled this video FNAF 8, because I don't want to count this. It's always just giving you, like, these little pixelized segments that I don't care about. They're always puzzles. It's like, oh, holy shit, pixels. I've never heard of anything better. You know, it's just like, man, if I wanted to watch Petscop, I would go watch Petscop, alright? So, I was kind of baffled when I heard that they were making an actual game. And so, here we are, and this is not something I usually do, but I'm gonna try and make a video on this. Now, I haven't fully planned out this video, and I know I'm recording this as I say it, but I haven't. I'm still not sure whether I want to title it FNAF 9 or FNAF 8. I'm probably just gonna title it FNAF 8, but, fucking, yeah, ass tits. I don't know what the fuck to call the first segment. Everything about this game's environment screams H to me. You know, I fucking love the idea of just being in this huge megaplex with all the neon lights and stuff. Think of it as indoor Disneyland, because all things considered, that pretty much is what it is. I quote by the game, it is the Freddy Fazbear Super Mega Pizzaplex. Like, and I'm not joking when I say it, this place is huge. The atmosphere is insane, and literally, the arcade room is bigger than my fucking neighborhood. Honestly, this game, compared to the other ones, does a pretty decent job of mixing in the story with the gameplay, because, you know, pretty much all of the story is told to you via messages, and also, there are cutscenes in this game. Spoiler alert, I probably should have put this at the beginning of the video, but I don't care. There's literally a mission where you have to go in and kill the animatronics. You know, you fucking kick Chica into a trash compactor, you drift a car into Roxy's eyes, you fucking drop Monty into a pipe hell. It's insane. And the cutscenes kind of remind me a lot of Hello Neighbor somehow, if any of you remember that shit. Unlike all of the other games, the animatronics have their own little rockstar intros. You know, you have Freddy Fazbear, Clam Rock Chica, Roxanne Wolf, Montgomery Gator. Could you not have thought of anything better, bro? Roxanne Wolf. Literally, the only two letters that are similar in those are the O's. They don't sound the same at all. I guess Montgomery Gator is a little better, but still. Huh? And also, why did they replace the boys? Maybe I'm not caught up with the lore, so I don't fucking know. Still, I think it's a fun game. I think that the map bots are cute, despite the jump scare. And it's got a gameplay system. Unlike every other FNAF game. Like I said, I really like the... Wait a minute, this game has RTX? What? Huh? What?
Terrible job, super shit. You fucked that one up that badly.
Yeah, fuck everything I just said about atmosphere. Holy shit. This game has a lot of glitches. In fact, there was a period in the game where literally just muting the audio would totally glitch the fuck out of it. You could get right next to Freddy, near a wall or something, and you could hop in him, and it would fucking take you into the abyss. Like, you would resonate with the Buodi's void. It was fucking insane. Doing this Freddy glitch was like the only way speedrunners would actually play the fucking game, because it was the easiest thing to just glitch through the walls with Freddy in your fucking void. It's insane. People were actually tanking their GPUs just so the world wouldn't load. Speaking of which, FNAF isn't really great when it comes to loading, because you walk into a room, and the first thing you see is an unloaded texture, and you go, wow, some top tier development right here. This game has, quote, and I quote, ray tracing, but it's the shittiest ray tracing. Like, it instead of reflections, it just kind of puts reflective color sparkles on the floor. And I guess it kind of looks cool, but it's really bad. Like, it actually makes any of the contrasting colors look terrible. It's like they drag it on low bitrate ace. For an open world FNAF game, you know, you should be able to go back to an area and pick something up without totally fucking the game over. But if you go back to a specific area and pick something up, it will totally fuck the game over. At the expense of re-enabling saves, which is an event that happens later in the game. I'll get into that later. A funny pun, I know. They're the little janitor boys, where if you touch them, they alert where you are to the other idiots. Yeah, for some reason, they're animated at like 10 FPS for no other reason. I don't know if this is a performance issue or something went wrong in rendering or whatever, but like, compared to the entire other game, which from what I've found is 30 frames or more, they're animated at like 15 FPS. I don't know why. I know at some point they released a patch, but it was one patch, and I don't think it helped much. Just, the game in itself is a technical fucking nightmare. It's cool, and I like the atmosphere, but holy shit. As I said before, Five Nights at Freddy's up until this point has basically just been clicking cameras. Don't get me wrong, it's a fun clicking cameras. It's one of the first games that's actually managed to make sitting still in your seat and pressing buttons fun. And up until now, there's always been the concept of an open world FNAF game, but I don't think Steelwool did a very good job of it. I like this game because it's unique. It's got a nice atmosphere, it's really visually fun, but the gameplay and the way your character handles and the fact that there's a lot of mechanics that you don't actually use, it's just kind of goofy. I think that video games don't necessarily have to be easy to be good, and making a video game hard doesn't make it bad. Difficulty is one of the things that makes winning so satisfying. But if the game is difficult because you wanted it to be difficult, that probably means that you spent a decent portion of time planning out where things should go, and how the level design should work with what the level is. But if you just copy and paste the same thing in every other fucking corner, that makes it hard in the bad way, because it's clear that it's just kinda lazy. Towards the beginning of the game, you're met with a lot of open areas, and in these open areas there are security bots that you have to sneak around, and if you get caught, it'll alert where you are to the other animatronics. I'll get into this a little bit more later, but in the actual game, it makes sense, because these are big open areas that you either have to maneuver around or through. But the further you get in the game, the more goofy the placement of these little security bots get. Like, I'm not even joking, like, they're in every hallway, around every corner. There's tons of them on this little road for some reason. Remember how I said that if a security bot catches you, it alerts where you are to the animatronics? Well, that's the idea behind it, but it just teleports the animatronics to you, or like around you. So if you're in an enclosed area, you're fucked. And also, it takes like 15 seconds for the animatronic to actually know what it's doing, I'm guessing because the AI is shit. So you get a couple seconds of a head start. Typically, maps in games are very useful because they mark where you are and they give you a layout of what's around you, and there's a lot of map markers in most games, but this game has no map markers whatsoever. There's, like, literally nothing on your map is ever highlighted as an objective or whatever. Even when the game says there isn't. The result of this is that the player has to backtrack a lot. This is an open world game, so naturally there's a lot of little cool areas and places you can go. That entire idea of open world is just fucked when you give, like, no navigation help whatsoever. It's extremely easy to get lost in this game. Something about the gameplay that was cool is every once in a while doing a story beat, you would go into what is called a security office, which is basically classic FNAF. You have to move to a button to press it and close the door. You have your own little watch to check the cameras and all that. It was pretty fun, but I get the idea that these were a little bit last minute. I mean, it's pretty clear that they rushed the game entirely, but it really feels like that this was supposed to be different. It's pretty clear that this game generally tries to emulate the FNAF games, but does a pretty poor job of it with all the open world stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the game isn't fun. It is fun at times, but they definitely could have done a lot better with this game. I've never really cared about FNAF's story very much. Short of listening to the phone calls it gives you at the beginning of the games, it's just very hard for me to get invested. I think MatPat totally took FNAF into the ground with all of his shit, because I can understand being invested in a story. And I honestly like a lot of the stuff that MatPat does, but when it gets to the point where there are literally hundreds of videos where you're just saying the same stuff, at a certain point, it really begins to feel dragged out. And MatPat didn't just drag this into the ground, no, he fucking dug a hole for it and punted it in there. So, I've never really cared for the FNAF story that much. It's very convoluted, long, and dumb. I think a lot of the ideas inside of the story are presented really well, but they're outweighed by all of the convolutedness and these stupid little puzzles. If you've never seen videos on FNAF or played the games before, and you don't know the story and you want to play this game, you aren't gonna really understand it. So I'm gonna do my best to summarize the premise. Basically, you are a child named Gregory, and you are trapped inside of this pizza mall. Freddy, who was previously the big antagonist of the FNAF games, is now helping you for some reason. And throughout most of the game, your objective is to leave the Pizzaplex completely. At the very end of the game, when you can leave the Pizzaplex, it gives you a decision, and I hate when games rapidly do this, but I'll get into that later. Should you click leave or Vanny, you'll get either ending. Wait a minute, who the fuck is Vanny? Did you mean Laurel? That was a stupid fucking joke, I'm sorry. Vanny is the main antagonist of the game, and the reason I didn't mention her is because in my entire 10+ hour playthrough of this game, you only see the main antagonist like 3 times. She gets barely any screen time. She is presented twice as a white woman and twice as a furry, and that's all. Even if you don't really care about the FNAF story or the games, you can see very clearly that this character was supposed to be the main antagonist, but she kinda just appears in the other endings. I feel like there was a lot of stuff cut out of this game last minute, which alludes to the game being rushed, because you would think that the fucking main antagonist would have a lot more screen time, dialogue, and maybe even character development. But no, it's just... Lastly, I wanted to critique the fact that the game just randomly gives you a decision. I like when games give you the decisions that actually affect the ending of the game, even if it's very subtle, or like it's just a mission select thing, whether you do or don't want to do it. Maybe it's not even affecting the thing and it's just a slight change in dialogue, but in most games where that happens, the decisions happen often. When it comes to this game, everything in the gameplay and the story is climbing up to you leaving the fucking mall. But it wants to have different endings, so as a last minute decision kind of thing, it just throws a UI at you. This also suggests that the game was rushed, but I also think that this was just really half-assed. You actually have to go explore the map and do things to get the other endings. In Five Nights at Freddy's games, there's always been an option to make it more difficult, like for example 20-20-20 mode, where it just makes every animatronic max difficulty. Here, it does the worst job of emulating that, because instead of like giving an option to change the difficulty of the animatronics, it just disables your saves. Really? No, don't make the AI better. Don't put more fucking more security bots. No, just to remove the progress save. Oh yes, perfect solution. Also, for some reason, some of the endings just don't have cutscenes. They have these weird comic book strips that are kind of animated. I can understand that being like a thing of choice, but like, man, it's just why. When you have a part of this game is completely animated, and then it's just like, man, what? What's a sudden change in style? What the hell? I think the comic books is the last thing that actually alludes to the fucking game being rushed, because animating cutscenes probably takes a while. So, you know, why not just put comic book strips? That'd be funny, right, guys? Right? I don't know. The story sucks. I think that it has a really good idea behind it, and I think that they could have done absolutely splendid with it if they didn't just rush it. This game didn't flop at all, but at times I feel like it should have gone the way of Cyberpunk, because there are so many flaws with this game. There's a lot of wasted potential here. Steel Wool didn't necessarily do a bad job, but they could have done so much better. I'm sure in time more patches will be released, and I bet they'll update it a lot while I'm not looking at it. For a game that's recently been released, I can't give it too much hate for the bugs. The gameplay, and the story fucking sucks. But I really enjoy it for the concept and the way the aesthetic is portrayed. I haven't fully decided what I'm gonna rate this game, so I'm gonna think about it. And eat chips while I'm thinking about it. 4.5 out of 10. Also, there's still Bisquick in my asshole.
That is a fountain. A fountain is a decorative reservoir used for discharging water.